Good evening, everyone. Hello and welcome to another live stream, to another live unboxing. Today, it is the Artillery Envnovo Sidewinder-X1, and it is a pretty big box. So a lot of people are already asking which version this is, and I honestly have no idea. So Artillery 3D sent me this one directly, so this didn't come through GearBest or AliExpress or someone else. Not that AliExpress really sends out review samples, but this came from Artillery 3D, so I'm assuming it is whichever version the one is that they want me to show on camera. So I'm guessing it is the newest one. I know there were some issues with this printer in the earlier versions. I know it's one of the few printers that Stefan, CNC Kitchen, unboxed live on camera, and if I remember correctly, he had some issues with a ribbon cable. So we will see how this works out. Paul Nokel is already saying he smells breaking ribbon cables. We will see. Okay, phone is on flight mode. People are in chat, so hello everyone again. Let's start breaking in. I've got myself some green tea. Actually some, what is this? China gunpowder Temple of Heaven. So we will see how much we need the gunpowder part of that. But yeah, let me know what you guys are having on this fine Sunday evening or afternoon or morning, whatever it is for you. Well, I guess the mornings are over around the world. But yeah, let's dig in. So who's saying I need to ask them which version this is? Winston Smith. I'm hoping there should be at least something, you know, in this box that indicates which version, which iteration of this printer we have. So I did. Wow, that smells like sweaty old dude. Okay. Slicer preparation. Ooh, what is this? Repetier host. Okay. Installation manual. We get an installation manual, which is great. Isn't the box upside down? I don't think so. I mean, this is looking very right side up-ish. Are there... Ooh, that smells. So this is just the installation. There's no special instructions for taking it out of the box. So let's unbox this fully first. So there's, oh god, this smells like plastic. 2 setups, 2 install manuals, okay. A little business card, warranty policy with a bunch of QR codes. Actually, we can zoom in a bit more. Stickers were upside down. Yeah, I guessed. Read this first. Shock hazard, pinch hazard, age warning. Okay. That we definitely do not need. QC pass, so a bunch of QC stamps on there. A packet, oh, Installationsanleitung. So this is even a German install manual, since this is the, let me show you guys. This is the EU, 220 volt EU. I'm guessing including a bunch of languages simply because they know, well, people will appreciate the native language manual. And this actually, to be honest, this German is pretty good. So yeah, good translation. I'm guessing they hired a native speaker at least to translate this stuff. Do not remove before finish assembly. So that is the heated bed. Oh, I do want to remove it, but we have to get the rest out first. So let me see how much of the packing material I can get out. What is this? SW-X1. A little tool bag, it looks like. A few spare parts, so you get... Is this a spare ribbon cable? Yes, it is. Okay. Okay, we will see if we need this, or if this is just a part of the assembly. 1 GB USB thumb drive, spare V wheels, yes, spare nozzle. This is a 0.4, it looks like, an RGB LED. Interesting. And a few screws, wrench, USB cord, cable. I am hoping we are not going to need the ribbon cable. Or, well, at least we don't need it as a spare. So this printer comes out of the box really nicely so far. So just for context, this printer is $369 on GearBest, and that includes shipping from Germany. So I'm assuming that is including tax and imports and all those fees. Oh, this ribbon cable already has a kink in it. We will have a look at that in a second. $369 for this printer shipped, which is honestly a pretty good deal. I think that's a bit more expensive than the CR-10 at a similar size, but from my impressions, from what I've seen about this printer so far, it seems like it's actually a bit of a nicer version of the CR-10 idea. So there's the filament sensor, and it's connected to a rod end. So this is connected in a flexible, it's fixed to one point in space, but you can rotate and tilt it around. That is interesting. That's not something I've ever seen before. So yeah, tax and imports can nail you pretty hard if you get stuff from abroad. If you import stuff from abroad, from overseas. So because you rarely get real invoices that actually declare the price correctly on 3D printers sent directly from China, at least for Germany, it's that case. The imports guys will usually guess the worth or the value of your imports goods, and they usually value stuff like this at around like 500 bucks. So that means, well, right now it's 16% VAT plus whatever fees are on top of that. So that can easily be another 100 or 150 bucks worth of import fees if you buy it from a seller that is actually shipping from China or from a non-EU country. For example, on the slice engineering Copperhead, I had to pay another 120 bucks on a €100 or $100 hot end, simply because they guesstimated, well, this is an expensive piece, so it looks kind of nicely machined. So we will say this is probably worth more than they label, even though it was shipped from the US. So I had to pay tax on basically like 300 or 400 bucks. Doesn't matter for me all that much because I get value added tax back anyways, but just something to keep in mind for imports. Brent is saying, hey, I thought you already had one of these. I do not. This is the first time I'm almost dropping an Artillery X1. So yeah, first time I lay hands on one of these. Stefan has one. I do not. There we go. So far, so good. So like I said, there is a slight kink in the ribbon cable, which is, oh yeah, I have so many cameras. I have plenty of cameras. I should be able to show you guys everything you want to see. So yeah, this printer is built with ribbon cables, which is something that, I think more printers should do, and is probably something that can be done very well. So this one came with a kink right out of the box. There is a fabric coating, so this is the Z-axis. There is a fabric cover, a fabric coating on this, which makes the thin and fragile ribbon cable a bit more robust, but yeah, didn't stop it from getting kinked during shipping. Put a bit of hot glue on the ribbon connections. So John, as with all my printer unboxings, I will try to use this as per the manufacturer's instructions. If they say put a dab of hot glue on there, I will, but if they do not specify that, I will not start modifying the printer before a review, even because the manufacturer, in my opinion, should know best how their printer should be used. So quick rundown of what I'm seeing here. So this is what looks like an E3D Titan style extruder. It's like you took the Titan and ran it through like 5 iterations of cost down. So looks very similar there. It has the same kind of style of lever, and the adjustment knob is back here. So that is quite tucked away. But it is an integrated style hot end with a volcano style block. There we go. Oh, and there's some packing stuff on here. Interesting. So you get the long nozzle, but it is a 0.4 by default. You also get an inductive sensor somewhere, supposedly, which I'm not seeing on the toolhead. So I will need to see where that inductive sensor is, whether it is actually, oh yeah, there it is. So the wording on the, I just checked quickly on the Gearbest listing, the wording on the listing is it has inductive end stops, and I thought, well, naturally, if you put an inductive sensor on it, it's going to be a bed probe, right? And it looks like there is actually a, an inductive X-axis end stop on there. Interesting. So that's basically what you'd see as a PINDA probe, or just as an industrial sensor in a very compact form. Interesting. We're going to see what the Z-axis homing looks like, whether there is some sort of auto bed leveling. Again, guys, I've not watched any reviews or any first takes on this printer. I just know that this has a generally good reputation, I'm going to say. And I'm just going to go in as unbiased as I can. So yeah, I don't want to go in with any expectations, high or low. No, I'm just here for the ride. So on the backside here, we get a dual Z-axis setup. So hold on, that's interesting. And these are plastic cups. Okay, so on the Creality machines, you get a single Z-axis drive, and you also only get a single Z-axis motor, which means it has a cantilever, which can tilt down. It's really not much of an issue. But here you get two motors. You get two, these are 4-star, it looks like. So 8mm pitch lead screws on either side. But they're also connected with a belt up top. So typically you'd only see the belt connecting both ends if you have a single motor and two lead screws. But here we actually have a belt that is connecting both sides of, both motors. So this is really just connecting the Z-axis rods. And if we turn these, you can see both motors spin and the Z-axis moves up and down smoothly. That is interesting. That top belt is horrible, take it off. Really, yeah, so if everything goes well, that top belt should never need to transfer any torque, because naturally the motors should stay in sync. But if one of them skips, like this should help keep everything in sync. So this belt really is just optional, more or less. Like in normal use, this doesn't do anything. There's another little connector piece. I wonder where that goes. It's a random cable popping out of the top. Causes really bad Z-banding. Ooh, well, how? It should not, that belt should not even be under tension. That should not be engaged in normal use. I will use it as is. Like you guys can, tell me mods that I should be doing as much as you want, but I'm not going to do them. I'm going to use this as per the manufacturer's intentions. So that looks like it goes in there, but come on. Filament sensor cable. Oh yeah, so that goes into the part that there. That goes into this filament sensor. That's the spool mount up top. Okay. Interesting. Now I wonder what this sort of spiderweb stuff is on the bottom here. Do not remove before. So this bed, this is, oh, that's a quality control. Oh, that is a, ooh. Start posting ooh memes. Okay, so the heated bed. Now, the heated bed on this printer is a mains powered, supposedly, a high voltage 220 volt or 230 volt heated bed. So first thing I'm noticing is this cable is already kinked. Like there's a sharp 90 degree, well not 90, 180 degree kink in a mains cable that is going to be moving. So that's not, I mean, that's gonna last like 5 spools of filament, and then you're gonna have a cable fire. That is that's not good. The other thing I'm noticing is this heated bed. As you can maybe see back here, this is peeling off of the glass. You can see there's the insulation, there's some aluminum covered insulation down here, and then you have the actual silicone heater mat, and this is just peeling off. So this is a point where if you just have the filament sensor in the center, which these mats have, that's going to burn up. Like that is literally going to destroy itself in that corner. So that's not good. I don't think the average user would be able to catch that. I don't think they would be seeing that, and they would probably start a very bad smelling first print at least. But it will stick much more securely after it's been heated. We'll see. So there you go. Actually, I'm gonna remove this. So I'm gonna deviate from the instructions. I'm sorry, but yeah. So this is an interesting bed that we're seeing. So 220 volts we're seeing right here. That's already zoomed in. QC passed. Well, I guess QC passed before shipping. So it is a 4-ish millimeter or 3.5 millimeter glass with nice beveled edges. And you have a sticker on top that is tilted towards the camera. You can see it's perforated. So I guess that's very similar to your typical bed sticker, but it looks like it is a bit more, it's like coated on the bed. It's very thin. It's a very thin layer on top. And again, it is perforated. So I'm guessing that's like, I don't know how they put that on, but it looks very interesting. I'm gonna have to see how well this actually sticks to prints. Don't mind the stuff behind me. That has nothing to do with stuff sticking on beds. Video this Friday, or this coming Friday. Right, first impression on the bed. Let me do this as a first check. So this is actually very well adjusted right out of the factory. There is no slop in here. That is good. That is something that not a lot of manufacturers actually manage to get right, where they adjust the V wheels on, especially on the Y-axis for some reason, to a point where they are tight and there's no backlash in here, but also they're not binding up and getting flat spots. And I can feel a bit of a flat spot because this printer has been sitting in the box for a month or two, but it's really not bad. And there's no backlash, so that is good. Your first print is going to stick permanently. We will see what the instructions say. PTG takes chunks out of the Ultra Base. Yeah, so PTG likes to stick very well to a lot of materials. What else is there on this base? So we've got there, maybe. So up here we've got a ribbon connector. We've got a JST connector or something. So this entire base is encased. So it's a sheet metal plate slab, basically. You can kind of hear if you reach under it, the sheet metal is kind of loose, but on top it feels very solid. USB-A host port on the front and a micro SD slot, as well as a 4-inch, roughly, screen on the front, as well as a recessed button. I'm guessing that is reset. There is a USB client port on the side. There we go, regular USB-B. I mean, obviously USB-C, but you can't really, that's like the standard printer port. Anything on the bottom, I think I saw I want to move this too quickly. Yeah, so there's a fan inlet, 80mm fan. You've got the warranty void if seal is broken. That's interesting. So you can't take this off. Yep, I guess I should show you guys. There we go. There is the Y-axis motor. Warranty void if seal is broken. And yeah, the bottom is all flat. You've got the 2 openings for the Z-axis to attach to. You've got some rubber feet. These are screwed down. They're fairly hard rubber. And finally, a little type label. What did I say? A type label, a fairly small type label. So 600 watts max, which I guess is adequate for the size of heated bed that we've got on here. Yep, there we go. Filament compatibility, PLA and TPU. So all you guys talking about PTG, how it will permanently stick. This is a PLA and TPU printer officially. I mean, I guess PTG with a coat of hot glue, glue stick on the bed should work on any printer, but yeah, 1.75, 300 by 300 by 400 millimeters, so exactly the same as the CR-10. And yeah, there's not really much else that's telling you. So that is a China export label. That's not a CE label. You can see by the way that the C is very tight to the E. If you have a proper CE label, those would be further apart. So that's not CE. So technically, it's not legal to import this into the EU, or at least to resell it in the EU. FCC label, I'm not sure how much FCC certification they have. RoHS, well, you can just throw that on there and nobody's going to mind it. All right, how many QC issues have we found so far? I would say 2. So 3 maybe, but that's more of a design issue with the high voltage, high power bed wire kinking. This peeling off, that's also a quality issue. That's not really a quality control. And then the slightly kinked ribbon cable packaging. So I would say it's like 3 mostly design issues and not really quality control. Looks like a revision 3. How can you tell what revision you have? That would be interesting. FCC requires a registration number. Oh, I did not know that there is not a registration number on there. And actually for CE, you also need to have the printed conformity certificate included. Usually it's a page in the manual, and I am not seeing that in here. So I would guess this is not a CE machine. So that might, if you get a dude at the imports office who's really not liking you a lot, they could just, they could deny you're importing this thing. They could deny you importing this thing. So you'd get the choice between, well, scrap it or send it back. That's worst case. Reset button by the screen is V4, and yes, we do have the reset button. Cool. There's the button right there. Reset. So I'm guessing this is the newest one. And by the way, I probably missed the chat. So we've got Joel here. Hi, Joel. Daniel is here. Wills, Steven. Yes, lots of familiar names. R3 cord. I'm gonna keep teasing you about that forever. Right. Internal photos to be on file publicly with the FCC. Yeah, that's where you get the iPhone leaks and stuff, right? Well, not anymore. I'm going to provide an earth connection to the metal parts for safety reasons with the 230 volts AC bed. Or do you take the risk? Is there okay. We've got a 3-plug IEC connector on the back, which does have the earth pin, the ground pin. So is that not internally connected? You know what? Before we before we assemble this, so the issue with the heated bed, the issue with the kinking cable and the ribbon cable have made me slightly wary of this machine. I shall take a peek inside and use my brand new Ryobi. Put a meter on it. Oh yeah, okay. It's connected. I guess I can put a meter on it because I've also bought a meter for the studio. Same one I have at home. Great little Unity UT61. This is the C version. And we can do resistance. So let's do the ground pin over here, as well as, where do we connect? Maybe here to the frame. So this is not connected. This is literally, that's a short. There's the ground pin, there's the frame. Nothing, open circuit. So the ground pin is not connected. I can put it on the beeper if you guys want to see that. And there's literally nothing. So ground pin is just literally not connected, which, anodizing, no, there is literally a scraped piece down here. Okay, I'm gonna open this up before we connect anything to it. Do I actually have a bit that is small enough? I do. Nice. So yeah, I was asking you guys a while ago, like which driver I should get, because I do like my Bosch so much, and but that one is at home. That's my private driver, and my personal driver. And you guys were suggesting to get the Milwaukee, etc. Because the Bosch is like that's a €100 tool, just a tool plus batteries and stuff. I was like, you know what? It'll be $70, and it's not great. It's not, I mean, it's not super great, but it's something. Void. Where are you going? Okay. So you are, so I just kind of harshly unplugged the fan. I'm gonna have to, I'm guessing that's, yeah, that's this. Where are you going, little one? So the ground, pretty thin wires, but it looks like it's, you know, at least it's well insulated and stuff. There's no strain relief on this. There's not any strain relief, and the wire that's getting the brunt is the thermistor. There is some goop on the connectors themselves, so that's something. So ground is, that's a really small power supply, but also it is only powering the motors and the hot end, and the bed is AC. So there's the solid state relay for the heated bed, preconditioned solid state relay. Interesting. Which is connected to the frame itself. That's interesting. So the ground wire is actually going into the power supply, and I'm guessing the power supply just does not have that connected to anything. Because of anodization, I don't, so like I said, there was actually a blank piece of metal on the frame. So right there, I'm not sure if you can see that, but the anodization is scraped off. I'm just guessing this is not, like this is sitting on top of, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. So let me go to the earth pin again. Yep. And let's check this cable, and the cable is good. So we're getting grounding on the power supply. Power supply frame, also grounded, but, you know, where it's screwed, is this even screwed down? This is like, oh, this is taped down or something. Oh no, there's two little screws. There's two little screws going through the top. Okay. So those screws are just sitting on powder coating. And powder coating is non-conductive. Can I put it on beep again? There is your beep mode. Actually, let me get these leads untangled. So I'm gonna go to protective earth. I'm gonna go to the power supply. There's the beep. There's the case, and it's sitting on powder coating. And there's a scraped free piece on the frame. Nothing. USB, not grounded. So the ground is going into the power supply, but that's it. And the power supply is mounted with frame with two M3 screws going through the back and into the power supply itself. So yeah, it's just all sitting on powder coating. We will see. So if there is a ground fault in the power supply, then this entire frame may possibly be live. I mean, that's a nice tingle. As long as I'm not grounded, like nothing should happen, but it's like, let me turn that on. That looks a bit better. Yeah. The main board in here is an MKS Gen LV 1.0. Wiring looks tidy. What are these drivers? These do not look like a... this one's stuck on with hot glue. These drivers do not look like an Allegro or TI chip, so let me show you these real quick. Because of the way the external components look, I'm not going to pull the heatsink off. Yeah, and one side is completely bare. So I'm thinking that is whatever AT2100. They are replaceable, yes. So these are just regular Allegro modules, and it's a standard MKS Gen L board. So, you know, not an uncommon board. What is going on? Windows Defender. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for letting me know that I don't have any viruses. Fantastic. AT2100s are like TMC 2100s. I guess. We'll see how loud they actually are, because even the trinamic drivers really depend on how well they are matched to the motors, whether the motors are suitable for being run by the drivers. Yeah, cool. No ground. Well, I guess we'll go in bare. Where did I put the cover? There we go. So the fan that's on here actually just vents into this cavity. Just blows straight in here, so half of the air, well, maybe a third of the air is just going to go out that side with cooling nothing, and the other half is like maybe going to pass over here because these are perforated sides. Yeah. Let me plug this fan in and see if I can. Yeah, so cable is just long enough. And maybe if you line up the warranty sticker again. No, I mean, it's not sticking anymore, so who cares? Yeah. So 230 volt beds, a lot of people don't like them for a reason, because, well, you're dealing with more 230 volt within your printer. You can do it. You can run a 230 volts bed safely, definitely. I'm not sure this is the best practice, especially with the cable routing, but we shall see. I want to see how well it prints. The loudest thing is the part cooling fan. Well, that's a good sign. Okay. It should have scraped off the coating where power supply mounts. Well, usually you have like, there are options for having like pins that actually penetrate the powder coating and pin into, for example, the power supply, because the aluminum does have an insulating surface on it as well. There are options for actually properly grounding through powder coating. If you just scrape off the coating, it's still going to sit on the coating, and you're not going to have a tight contact to that scraped off area. Okay, now that we know what we're getting ourselves into, shall we get this this mounted? Yeah, and obviously there's the what are they called? The washers with like the fanned out sides. Those usually dig through powder coating pretty well. So we have a few different documents for assembly. We have a 6-step tutorial for how to connect the ribbon cable properly. So apparently that's an issue. You've got the German installation guide. Spring washers, I guess. We have a slicer setup. So that is for Repetier host. Works with most slicing. We recommend Repetier. So we're going to use this printer with Repetier. German install. Oh, Filament Sensor. Okay, well, I guess that one's kind of roughly translated. So Filament, it's filament, but a Filament is like literally the filament inside a light bulb, like specifically the glowing filament inside a light bulb. And this is not a Filament. This is filament in German as well. Okay, I found the roughly translated bit. I will stick to the English install guide anyways, because I'm not going to talk to you guys through the German setup. Please focus the top cam. Ooh, I don't know. So about Google Translate, like the rest of the manual is surprisingly good. That's slicer prep. That's our install guide. Focus the top cam. How are you out of focus? Oh yeah, I guess I can quickly focus this guy. Is that better? That's better, right? Manual focus lenses. It's not the first time I've seen filament translated as Filament, so that's better, isn't it? Main modules. You got the base, you've got the gantry, you've got the upright, and the filament spool. 30 pin one piece and 30K. Okay, so this is not a spare, I guess. Tools and spares. Okay, so it is a spare because the ribbon cable is already in here. So this is kind of bent awkwardly. This is a 30 pin for the Z and X-axis, and then the X-axis. Actually, can we move this without? How is this? Oh, this isn't connected yet. Haha. So that we will need to connect. Step 1: fix the XZ gantry to the base with 4 pieces of M4 by 45 screws as shown in the picture. Let's do that. So you get your typical hex key set, short ones, you get your long screws, and apparently you get an extra screw that you hopefully don't need. With a spring washer. Now, again, this style of like broken up spring washer, I guess it would make a somewhat okay ground connection, but these are not functional for keeping a screw type, so it is actually better to just leave these out. There, I guess. The glowing printer power wire. Ooh. But they don't have a sensor for that. It was specifically the Filament sensor. Attach the gantry as shown below. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna attach this. Now, there we go. Bit of a tight fit, but it's going in. Don't need to force it. Because the sheet metal covering is kind of overlapping with the opening that is supposed to put the, not the right one? Nope. The opening that is supposed to put the 40x20 V slot into. Now, no, this is not always a very exciting part to watch. Me, screwing these in from below. How large is your backlog for printers to review? It is gonna get significantly larger. I just requested a bunch to review before Christmas. But the idea is to have printers that are not that unique, just to do a quick review, because nobody needs to get the full rundown of everything. Like you guys know the specs, you can look those up. So I'm hoping I'll be able to do I'll tighten these up properly in a second. I'm hoping I'll be able to find a format that lets me review, let's say, a handful of printers, that are just run-of-the-mill standard machines without going through the full effort of, oh, this is a whole new platform. This is something that is really worth talking about. But it's just, hey, how is the setup process? How are the components? Is it safe? Is it, do you get profiles? All that in a compact format. And thanks for the 20, Thomas, asking how I am. I'm all right. I'm all right. Thanks for that. 112 is the EU number. Yeah, it's for emergency services. Police is 110, and cops and what are they called? Ambulance, I guess. It's also 110, if I remember correctly. Like, I mean, they'll forward your emergencies. The thing is, you guys don't know where I am, where I physically am, so you can call and be like, hey, Tom's in trouble. Yeah, okay, so that's tight, that's tight. There's no way of squaring this up, so you don't really, you're basically hoping that the cut on the bottom of these profiles is square enough. Actually, if we switch over here, you can see my face a bit bigger. Aha. You're just hoping that the cut on the bottom of these profiles is square, because if it is not, you may end up with this entire thing tilted back or forwards, or, well, back to front, not, or left to right, not really that much, but back that direction. Very easy to tilt, and then your prints are going to be screwed. So that is something you can actually test on your printers if you do if you just print a tall, like a tall column or something. Print two identical ones, like that, and then rotate one 180 degrees, and if they line up, then it is square, and if they do not, then it is not. Dixon, yes, this is the new V4 version as verified by chat. So as always, I do not know if my table just isn't flat or if the printer is kind of warped. No, that's better. I think my table just has a little bump in there. Battle Frontier, thanks for the recommendation. I will not do that. Like I said, I will do this per the manual before we get into any sorts of mods. I will try to use this printer as the manufacturer suggests, because for most people that don't have a chat full of, how many people? With 862 people in there, most people are not building the printer with 800 people watching them. They're doing that with their kids, with their friends maybe. You know, if you got 3 people around in these times, it's already a lot. So this, or at best, a YouTube video like this one, or a Facebook guide or something, that's what they're going to have to go off of. Chat will be available in the recorded version of this video, so if somebody wants to read along and read through all the suggestions that are coming in, they can. So yeah, just keep in mind, I am not doing any things that deviate from the manufacturer's guide. So this ribbon cable, this end of the ribbon cable, is slightly damaged right out of the box. So this side is fine, but this side is, you know, slightly bent over. I don't know if there's a pin. There's not. No, it's just a plastic that's slightly damaged. Not a good look, but I mean, it's going to be fine. It's just, it shouldn't be damaged. Someone, oh, actually, I think I have, are these? Nope. Nope, these are not rated for 1000 watts. They should be fine for 1000 watts if they need to. What's the max temp on the hot end? Let me see if this is a... So from what I can see from this angle, it looks like it's an all metal type. But it's kind of dark in there. And I can't really see. Someone in chat is, oh, but I do see some Teflon wires going in there. So I would say 250 safely. PTFE line, okay. Then yes, definitely 250, 240 if you want to be safe. So let's stick with the imitation volcano. Yeah, but it comes with a 0.4 nozzle. So let's stick with the install guide. We've done the gantry install, the XZ gantry. That is tightened up. Spool holder to the top of the printer. Adjust the width to size. So these two parts. So you mount them and then you can print one size of filament. I gotta say I do not like this type of spool mount. I think I've seen it on one or two printers before, but you like literally have to undo at least two screws. What are these? And 5 screws to adjust the width. So really, you're going to end up printing one type of filament, and just quickly switching is going to be a pain. David Kwasnick would change the Bowden tube with a Capricorn tube. I mean, there's no Bowden tube in here, it's just a Teflon lining, but again, not going to do any mods to the printer until the review is through. Front. And even then, I don't know if I'm going to keep the printer around, whether I feel safe using it past my review prints. Front is that way, so the filament sensor goes on with, to the right. So this goes on something like this, I would guess. And you've got the, that's going to be, it's going to be interesting to show. There we go. There's 2 nuts already placed in the profile. And then in theory, all we have to do is to grab a matching screw. Just for scale, what is the size of your table? Ooh, I think this is, so this camera is cutting off just at the edge, just at the end. I think this is a 70 by 140 centimeter or something. It's a standard IKEA tabletop. Somebody wants to or knows how large those are. Yeah, 70 deep, 70 centimeters deep by something. And there's the second one. Yep, 24-volt printer. I mean, at this point, like, it kind of doesn't make... Oh, I mean, for this one, I guess it doesn't matter all that much because you're not powering that much with the 12-volt supply, but stepper drivers are typically going to run a bit more smoothly on 24 just because they have a bit more overhead to keep pushing that voltage into your motors. So this is a large printer, right? This is a printer that is considered above average. So I'm guessing I should be printing with an above average size filament spool. So this is das Filament. PLA, so this is a typically 2 point something, 2 kilograms? Yeah, 2 kilograms net weight spool. So I think this is like the size spool that should go on this printer. So I will try to adjust the spool mount to this spool. I'm guessing it's probably more comfortable to do this on the floor. Oh, that's actually holding up pretty well. Perfect. It is out of frame. 2.6. Well, the regular weight is scribbled through. This is a B stock, so this is not a full spool. It's never been a full spool. 2.6, 2.3. Big spool, more filament than on a standard 800 or 1 kilogram spool. Why not go bigger? That's the biggest spool I have. So, yeah. Whole thing is shaking. Repcord, if only someone was making like a proper way to store and print filament out of. I don't know. So it is Yeah, it is. It is a bit shaky with that spool up top. I mean, having a spool that large would not be my. There you go. Would not be my prime choice to put it on top of a printer if I could like freely choose where I was going to put this thing. It is what it is. So this, let's do a bit of cable management to make sure this doesn't get caught in the belt. There's our JST connector, and it goes into the filament sensor. Like that. So this filament sensor is pointing like right into the spool. It's a bit dark to see, but you can maybe make out the sensor right there. It's like pointing into the spool, but because it's on this rod end, which is kind of loose as well, you can reposition it. And actually, this is on backwards, so you would need to use it like that, I guess. Oh, and I've also put the spool on backwards. Oops. There, so. Where are you? There you are. Well, these sensors are cool because they cost like 20 cents or something, but they can be a bit of a pain to use at times. Is it a cable tray on my ceiling? No, that's a lamp. That's a lamp. All right. So that should work. I've seen worse, and that goes into that hole. Oh God. Okay, but we've got filament loaded. Now, honestly, black filament is not going to show up really well on stream, so I think before we print something, I'm going to load something a bit more colorful into this. Always unspool from the bottom. I guess I could, but it kind of doesn't matter. Yeah, but it is. If you maybe shim this with a quick shim, maybe we can get it a bit less wobbly. Yeah, nah, that's for comparison.
Keep up the good work, never off the old.
For comparison, I mean, I hate to always bring out this guy, but here's how much a Mark III shakes. Also shakes, but like it settles down very quickly, and this does not. So yeah, I lower the z-axis. What lower the z-axis? This one doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm going to take off the spool from the top. Well, you know what? I'm going to leave it on there, but I'm going to print from something else. Thanks for the $5, Carl. I will definitely grab a coffee at some point from that. Much appreciated. Someone saying seems pretty stable. Cool. What am I missing? Yep. Cool. So that is attached. That was the step 2 of the assembly. Step 3, connect the filament runout sensor. Okay, we've already done that. We've plugged that in. That's literally just that connector there. Connect the Z end stop to the cable. Okay, that seems easy enough. I guess that should end up somewhere around there. There's that. There's 2 cables here. I'm guessing it's the one that fits. And then, okay, so this is the Z motor. Makes sense, 6-pin. This goes over on this side, and then I'm doing this, what? Oh. Interestingly, okay, yeah, no, okay. I was gonna say, like, on the other side, you also have two cables. I could have just turned this 90 degrees the other way, but on the other side you also have two cables. You have the Z-axis motor on the left-hand side of the printer, and you also have another connector, and that is just the filament runout sensor that goes in here. Base must be really empty. Yeah, if you rewind about 20 minutes or so, you can see what's in this base. And there's not a whole lot of weight, but also because this thing is so tall, it doesn't really have a lot of structure. Next up, Z end stop, we have connected that. We have connected the motors, so we can move on to connect the X carriage and filament runout sensor as shown in the picture to the base. Please handle a flexible flat cable with care. So let's grab the other instructions on how to properly connect flexible flat cable. 30-pin, align the cable to connector, insert the cable straight. You may need to open the lock on some machines. You may need to close the lock. Okay, so it seems that we're shipping two different versions of this connector. Well, I guess as you guys were saying, there are V3, V4 versions of this printer. So you may need to close the lock or open the lock on some printers. I'm guessing they had non-locking and locking connectors for the ribbon cable, and I don't really know why you would use a non-locking type on a moving connection. The idler that it is on top of the extruder. Okay.
Biggest concern with this printer is the idler that is on top of the extruder. Cheers and drink some coffee from me.
Thanks for that, 3D Print Creator. Much appreciated. So the idler that is on top of the extruder, so I'm guessing this one does feel quite wobbly already. I've lost good angles to look at this printer. So the extruder lever, and this, yeah, it's kind of wobbly. It should push the filament just fine. We will see how well this works. And also thanks for the $2, Morgan, to the super chat. Much appreciated. Awesome. Okay. Ribbon cables. So we are prepped on how to connect them. So we're going to follow these instructions. So insert them, I guess, align and push it in. How could you, how could you not push in and then lock it? Like, what were people doing wrong with these? So, okay. How do we get this on camera? Guessing there's that connector. That looks a lot more dusty than it is. But that is a lot more bright than it actually is. So this is a non-locking connector. And the ribbon cable literally just, so there's a piece of PET film on it that reinforces it. So we're going to line this up. Then we're going to push it in. So this side of the connector is non-moving because it is taped down to the Z-axis pillar. There we go. And then that's connected. The other side is already connected as well. So that's up here. That is plugged in. So that is a non-locking type as well. Ooh. I guess people were just not doing the locks correctly or something. I don't know why they would move away from those. Like, I don't see why you would use a non-locking connector on a moving. I mean, this ribbon cable doesn't have the locking tabs on it, so not sure. And then on the extruder, you can just see it peeking out right there. Same style connector. I'm going to bias this towards the bottom because the top of this piece is kind of this connector strip is kind of mangled up. And that should be right. That should be as good as it gets. Alrighty then. Anything else we have missed? Connect the FFC, the flat flexible cable. Make sure they're sitting flush inside the connectors. So I did that, connect that, I did that. Adjust the tension on all the wheels of the machine. So that is exactly what John is saying. I don't mind that you have to readjust these. Like I don't think it's an issue if you have to do that. So that part right there. Adjust the tension on all the wheels of the machine. Now, it's something that they apparently can't get right out of the factory. The thing is, if machines ship to you without any word on, hey, these are rollers that you maybe need to kind of tension up again, if nobody tells you that, then you're going to be running the machine with improperly tensioned rollers, and you're going to have a bad time. So I appreciate that instruction is in there, that at least they are telling you, hey, this is something that you should check before you start printing. So let's actually do that. So the x-axis, the tool head, that's tight, and it rolls very smoothly. You can see it's kind of jumping into, maybe you cannot see that, but right there's a flat spot. And you can not really see it on the wheels, at least not in this lighting, but there's a bit of a flat spot. It's probably very hard to see, but there is no backlash. Now for the z-axis, this one does have a bit of backlash. So does this, but the wheels are all tight to a point where they're not slipping, and because of the way this is constrained, this z-axis is actually over-constrained. Is it? Yeah, it is. And you cannot tighten all of these without it binding, or at least it putting excessive pressure on the rollers. So because there's not, if you really push it, you can kind of feel that this inner wheel, actually let me swivel you guys around. So these are two fully constrained, at least on 5 axes, so these can roll up and down, but every other axis is constrained. These rollers in the middle, theoretically you don't need them, but they're still there. These are kind of loose, like I can turn them by hand slightly, but as a whole, as an axis, like this is tight. So I'm going to leave it as is. Whew. It's getting warm in here. Now we can connect power. Oh, now we can connect power and turn on the machine. Heat to preheat the nozzle and bed. Level, okay, so there is a leveling adjustment or a leveling assistant on the firmware. Now, I will need to somehow clamp down on the loose heated bed. So for those x-axis motor knock, oh yeah. Thanks for that. Thanks, Jake. Did I tighten on the gantry? Seems to wobble more than I can remember. So yeah, this is tight. This is absolutely tight. It's just as, I mean, I can tighten it more. I can give it another turn or so if I y-axis motor plug. Well, y-axis is built into the frame, so I shouldn't have to connect that. You got to remember this is threading into aluminum. Let me see, maybe this wasn't tight. Got 1,000 viewers. Well, hello all 1,000 of you. People greeting from Germany. I saw people from Austria. Where are you guys all from? Who watches a dude assemble a 3D printer on a Sunday evening? That's tightened more. I mean, it feels a bit better, but it's with the huge weight up top. It's like, you can't do much about that. Murph and Earth, yeah, that is something that I have been missing this year as well. Maybe I can. We'll see if they're going to let me out of the country, but maybe I can at least travel a few places and give you guys some one-on-one talks with the people that I'd usually interview at shows like this. Would you be interested in something like that? And who? I mean, Prussia's like a day trip for me. They're like 3 hours away. Dust Filament are pretty close. Bavarian Filament, I think, are also pretty close. But there's like the small, interesting companies. I don't know any of those that would be close to me. Let me see if I can find like a... yeah, there we go. This might slightly melt, but Australia 4:30 a.m. What the heck, Trevor? You gotta go to bed. Am I a Franke? No, I am not. Lowell, Bavaria. So that's gonna like hold. Well, it's not. It's gonna hold better than without it, I guess. Let me put on another one. Can I review the Elegoo Saturn? So while we're at it, a bit of a rant about Elegoo. Like, I appreciate what they're doing. I appreciate that they're bringing down the costs for resin printers, but the way that they're generating hype.
Tension dial. It was too tight on mine.
Too tight on yours. Doesn't say in the manual. I'll get to that in a second. Thanks for the 5. The way that Elegoo are generating hype for their printers is something that is very hard to work with. So even starting with the Mars. The Mars was a printer that was announced, that was like hyped up a ton, and then for almost a year the thing wasn't available anywhere. You could not buy it. It was like a, you know, like who was it? Was it Nvidia or Intel or someone did that where they had like paper launches where it was like, oh, here's our cool new product. Please don't buy our competitors. We have something that's even better. And then nobody can buy it. It's just, you know, by the time the product is then actually available, and I can make a review about it where it's like, okay, this is the finished thing that they're going to be shipping, nobody cares anymore. Like, if, what is the Saturn? Okay, Saturn has been announced like a few months ago, and I think I'm going to get one in like a month or 2 or so. But by that time, they're already going to be raving about the Jupiter. They've already announced the Elegoo Jupiter, which is, I think, an even larger printer or something. So people will be raving about that, and nobody's going to care about the Saturn anymore. So I'm like, how are you supposed to work with that? The same with the Mars Pro, etc., etc. Apparently there's now a Mars 2 or something coming. They've just released the Mars Pro. Like I unboxed that thing 2 months ago, and there's a Mars 2 or something apparently in the works. It's like, how are you supposed to keep up with that? And also from a perspective of reviewing everything, like if you have so many new models that you really have to, where you're expected to review every single one, then like every second review on my channel is going to be an Elegoo machine. So it's just impractical to keep up with that. Okay, just a bit of a rant on the topic of Elegoo's Saturn. Yeah, Mars 2 Pro due at the end of the month. So I guess I'll just throw out my Mars Pro because nobody's going to care about any sort of content I do with that. So, right. Now you can connect the power and turn on the machine. We're back to the artillery. So this is a bit of a quick fix. As you can see, just two little woodworking glue clamps on the back of this bed. So not just the insulation, but also the heater itself was coming loose, and I'm not sure if this is helping a lot, but I feel a bit safer than with no clamps around here at all. Where's your Streamlabs link? Ooh. Ooh. Let me, give me, Where did I put my Streamlabs link? I think, so the old, if you find an old one, then you can still use that. And unfortunately, the links are not going to work in the YouTube chat. Maybe a mod can post it real quick. Give me 1 second. Use wood clamps on all my 3 printers. The thing is, this is plastic, like this is going to melt, right? Do we have a redirect? I do not have a redirect. Oh, actually, I can just look it up in the dashboard. Ha. Settings. Streamlabs.com/ somebody wanted to know how my name is pronounced. Streamlabs.com/Thomas Sandladra. So copy. Can edit this. Live tips. Well, Live tips takes you there. It's in the description. Come on. Yep, it's in the description. That's the Streamlabs link. All right. Cool.
What large envelope printer is reliable enough? Recommend.
Okay, part-time only. Okay, for nothing. Quick break, it's all good. Daniel's asking what large envelope printer is reliable enough to recommend. Ooh. That's a tough one. I guess like the God, I can never remember the name. Raise 3D have a pretty good reputation, but I've not tested one of their machines. The only real professional, like actually recommendable, because it's the only one in that space, was the Stacker 3D, the 4S that I put on, that I helped someone set up, and that's got its own shortcomings, but that's like a machine where it's like, if you need that big of a printer, that's really the only one to get, except for maybe the big rep, but that is a different budget. Okay, now we can connect the power. I'm trying to put this one off, but you can connect the power. Okay. So we're going to do because the frame is not grounded, what is probably going to happen is you're going to get a capacitive coupling onto the frame. So if you've got a current generation MacBook, for example, with the MacBook charger, and you kind of brush over the aluminum frame, you can kind of feel a buzz. And that is a capacitive, that's 50 or 60 hertz in the US. That's a capacitive coupling from your mains, from your live mains to the body of that laptop. It's harmless. It can create an incredibly annoying audio buzz if you have like headphones or microphones or something. But that's kind of the same thing that I'm expecting to happen here as well. Okay, I'm just going to plug it in. There we go. It's plugged in. And I'll get the display in frame as I flip the switch. Where's my display? There's my display. Nice, and so there's no protector. That's actually the underside of the bed. There you go. Oh, power strip was turned off. So let me do a quick measurement of the frame, whether we can get any sort of where are we at? I guess voltage AC. So I'm gonna see if I can find a, so first of all, ground is just my extension strip. I'm gonna hook this into these exposed PE prongs on the side, and then let's go over to the stepper motor. 25 volts. AC, that is alternating current 25 volts on the stepper motor, which should give you a bit of a, so if you lick it, you might feel that. Stepper motor has 25 volts. Let me do the screw up front here. If you poke through, you get like roughly 11. It's interesting. Should be the same actually. So the other side is literally just in the, in my extension cord here. So our EU plugs, live and neutral in like recessed little holes where you cannot poke in. You can actually push this in, and there's a child proofing in there. And then these gold plated connectors on the side, these are protective earth. So you can touch them and you can ground yourself if you want to, but also you can hook a multimeter to it very easily. So USB port on the side is giving me 40 volts. So that is the shielding on the USB port, getting 40 volts AC. Now the thing is, as soon as you plug in a USB cord, you will get this thing grounded through the device you're plugging into, because USB ports are always grounded, unless it's a laptop. But yeah, capacitive coupling. Actually, what do we, oh no, I mean, hold on. What we can also do is we can measure, where do we start? Let's start with milliamps. We can measure how much leakage current we get, because that's actually the interesting thing. So 40 volts AC, not that, I mean, doesn't matter. Milliamps. Zoom in. I'm gonna go from, again, from protective earth, you can see just at the edge of the screen there, to the USB port. And we get 0.15 milliamps. That is not a lot. Actually, if we switch over to microamps, maybe we can get a more, no, on microamps it's just not measuring at all. But on the milliamp, oh, now I was on DC. Let's do AC microamps. Yeah, so amp ranges on AC are kind of weird sometimes. Microamps is picking up 0.2 because there's a different resistance through here. Oh, now I'm not getting any, DC. But on milliamps, I'm getting like 15 milliamps. So that's all right. Unless you get a ground fault, then you're screwed. But otherwise, is fine. It's fine. Yeah, this is a Unity UT61C. I've got a UT61E at home. Oh shit! You guys are right. You guys are right. I need to replug for. Hold on, those current measurements were for nothing. I was plugged in wrong. I tend to do that, but with so many people watching. So, okay, we are at, is that, do you have to replug it for the UT61E as well? So let's do milliamps on AC. Okay, 46 milliamps, 0.46 milliamps. Thanks for that hint. Microamps, so actually getting more now. So again, these measurements aren't really that that accurate. 986 microamps, and then if you switch over to milliamps, it's a different reading. Daniel's saying 120 at 4 milliamps hertz, 120 at 10 milliamps kills. what's the standard? I think the standard RCB standard protective earth breaker switch. It's like
120 V at 4 MHz.
0.03 or is it?
120 V at 10 mHz.
I think it's 30 milliamps or something, the standard breaker. But anyways, could be better. Let's move on. Put it back to the voltage setting, yes. The worst thing about me with multimeters, and I've done that before, is when you do the 10 amp setting and you measure a current and you leave it on there and then you blow the fuse, and sometimes you blow the multimeter. And potentially you blow whatever you're measuring. We're doing the printer. We're not doing RCD is 38 milliamps. Thanks. Yes, I was just trying to get the order of magnitude correct there. How can we get you guys a better view of the screen? The screen is pretty dim. And also at a weird angle to film. Top isn't doing anything for me. Maybe, but you can't really make out much there. Are you sure your plugs are connected to Earth? Yes, I am very sure my plugs are connected to Earth. I guess maybe if you tilt it forward, well. Anyways. Yeah, so Michael. So this is the C as well, UT61C. This can measure temperature, which obviously I got because I intend to measure temperature with it. There's a thermocouple included with it. So that's something that I might use in the future. What are we doing? We're getting sidetracked. Block the glare with paper. I mean, I guess, but not really helping much. We are doing leveling. You can connect the power and turn on the machine. Tools, heat to preheat the nozzle and the bed. Tools, heat. To preheat. So it's giving me add, decrease, it's giving me extrude 1, 10 degrees and close with a power and back. So I'm guessing add. That's what I'm saying about preferring scroll wheels over touchscreens, is when you have to input something, it's like, oh, how far does it, oh, 270. It lets you heat up to 270 degrees Celsius. That is insane for your Teflon land hardened. Let's close. So close is turn off. And now we're on the bed. Let's do like 60 on the bed. Oh, that didn't update for a while. So now we're at 128 already. 160. That is very slow to heat up. Do not buy Unity. I've had good experience with them. It's brand new. How is it so dusty? I don't know. Okay, you cannot smell that, but I can. It smells like burnt plastic. I'm guessing the silicone sock is new. There is some filament coming out of the nozzle. You can see they had some white filament loaded in there. And actually somebody said this was too tight for them. This feels okay for me. I will actually use a different filament. Let me grab my spool holder real quick. Okay. I will use some more visible Prussiament Miss Pink PLA blend, just because it shows up a bit more nicely on camera. And this filament is not brittle yet, so I'm actually going to go all the way around. It smells like hot glue, honestly, which is not a good sign because, you know, when you heat up your extruder, it should not, like, there shouldn't be any hot glue in contact with the extruder, but all right. It's extruding. So for 210, for 210 degrees, this is actually flowing through really easily. It's already sticking to the bed quite well. 270 for Teflon is hot. Bed heater burning? I'm looking around. Oh, the bed heater. Oh, that bed heater. I don't know. We will find out. We will see. You forgot to run it through the Runout sensor? Well, here's a smart me. Seen that? I've got filament in the Runout sensor. I've got filament up top. Haha. Bed is covered in the glue. Oh, the surface? Nah. I'm guessing it's just the adhesive of the heater. Let's go back. So actually, if you go into, sorry that this is so hard to show, but yeah, this is the best I'm going to be able to give you, unless maybe in a minute I adjust the camera and move it up a bit. If you go into heat, if you do close on the bottom here, it actually shuts it off. So that's a bit of a rough translation as well. So let's do level first. Homing seems to work. And that first does not correspond with the first. Like it's showing like it should be back here. So it's all right. It's all right. It's a bit weird, but let's do some leveling. They thankfully do include some leveling paper. Okay, a bit weird to get to. Wow, this was way low. Wow. So this adjustment wheel is pretty far in. Like on the newer Ender 3s, you have a much bigger wheel. Should be all right. Or at least it's further out. And this bed, whatever they put on it, does stick pretty well. Well, that's very loose now. Third, so is third, it's the same size. So these icons on the screen make literally no sense at all. Is that paper not a bit Is that paper not a bit thick? Are you, please? Can you like, oh, I'm measuring just the clamps, against the clamps. That paper is perfect. Like the thickness of the paper doesn't matter all that much. It's more about, you know, getting the pressure right. And we will need to adjust during printing anyways. So it's just to get it roughly even. There you go. Because you can easily go from, hey, it's really sliding easily, to it's really clamping down, and both can be considered valid. I'm adjusting a lot and not a lot is happening, so I'm guessing this fourth one must still be off. Once you level it, you shouldn't need to touch the wheels anymore, so it's nice to have them tucked. Well, you shouldn't need to touch them anymore, that is correct. But, you know, you shouldn't, doesn't mean you won't. So let's go around once again. Okay, this is way off. Four screws, the plane is over-constrained. Yes, that is correct. So one of these will be loose, or you will be slightly warping or twisting the bed. And with 4 screws, it is a bit of a pain to adjust. So this is, oh god, now this one is super tight. That's like a full turn on each of these wheels on the second pass. Let's go around. And we're loose again. Wow! What the? Did I touch the touchscreen? Okay. Clamps, yeah, no, I keep riding over them. But if I take them off, like, the printer's gonna catch on fire, so I would rather leave them on, honestly. I can also take them off if you would prefer that. You know what? I'm gonna call that good. It does have a 5th point. And the 5th point is in the center, and that's looking good. We're going to be printing in the center anyways. I shall set it up with a, well, I've not used Repetier Host much. That looks good to me. Is there a setting to move it up? Like I said, I prefer scroll wheels over touchscreens. So as far as stepper noise goes, it's actually pretty good. Like, it's not silent. Definitely not silent, but it's all right. It's kind of like a Prusa Mini level. It's not silent on a Mark III, but it's all right. Set file fan. So there is a continue. Yeah, come on. There we go. It's kind of hard to show. If I put it at that angle, you get a bit more contrast, but it's all warped. Settings, file, there's an artillery button. Ooh, this thing has Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi artillery, so this has a Wi-Fi access point built in. I wonder where it has, because this is a metal frame. Like, what? How does this thing have Wi-Fi? Do you guys see a Wi-Fi module? Why does it? But I am confused. Like, you can see that, right? It might be a bit hard to see if you zoom in more. IP 192.168.3.100. Wi-Fi artillery state STA disconnected. Open Wi-Fi. Okay. There's a continue button down there. So I guess it has some sort of power fault detection. Yeah, you have a print menu, no files found. Let's close the heat. What's more? Oh, lights. Ah, there's a little RGB LED at the tool head. So we can change the color. I guess you can program that with G-code. Okay. Can you just stick a MakerBase module in the main board? So it is a standard MKS Gen L board, so you can plug in whatever you want, I would guess. I'm not sure what firmware this is, honestly, whether it's a proprietary one or whether this is some sort of Marlin-based interface on the screen. I would guess because it's an MKS Gen something. I think that is a... You guys probably know more about what chip it is. I did not check. I would think it is a 32-bit one, but honestly, it doesn't really matter all that much. I think the intelligence in this screen actually comes from the screen and not from the board. But chat will know more about this stuff than I do, because I'm honestly not that prepared for this unboxing. I really wanted to go in, again, without any bias. So, slicer prep. Let's do the spike. Don't worry about it, man. It's always good to have you around, even when you're late. There we go. Slicer prep. So there is actually a manual, even if it's just one page, for slicer setup. And basically printer settings, repetier host, printer settings button at the top right corner, printer tab, and configure as shown below. Okay, so you're really just configuring a default printer. Now you guys might need to walk me through repetier host a bit, because honestly I have like used it twice. And it looks like they're just saying, hey, you know, slice with slicer, slick 3R, and oh, so it it is actually just creating a slick 3R profile. Load config bundle. Oh, you do get, okay, you do get a profile that you can load on the slick 3R. Go to slicer tab on the right, choose slick 3R slicer and click on configuration button. Load config bundle and then use slick 3R? Okay, I'm not going to go through repetier host. I will go through... Why should I re-level without the clamps? Because if I take the clamps off, the bed's going to burn, and I'm going to be printing with the clamps. So I will be leveling with the clamps. Like if I put the clamps back on, then the leveling is going to be off again. I will just use slick 3R because the repetier host feels like it's just another layer in between. So, ta-da! Actually, I can do. Where are you? Okay. We can do that. So let's go through the slick 3R config. There's my not a MacBook laptop. MacBooks also rarely have a touchscreen. So let's do slick 3R 1.3.0. Is there, hold on, is there a, yes, let's check the USB thumb drive. That is a very good suggestion. Let's check what's on the USB drive first. And this is a laptop that I can reset really easily, just in case we get some weird stuff. So this drive apparently was configured on April 25th. There's a cube.g code, which I will definitely not be printing. 2019 instructions, config bundle, how to insert FCC. Oh, that one sounds interesting. How do you screw off edge? Oh, FFC. I misread that. So, repetier host, maybe? So, as a slicer, we will be using slick 3R. Why does it SkyneForge? No. Why would anyone want to use SkyneForge? And there you go. What is downloading? Interesting. Use Prusa Slicer. Again, I will... Since there are instructions included, I will try to use those. Usually when there's just nothing included, I'm just gonna like make up a slicer profile on the go. I'll use Prusa Slicer usually because that's my slicer of choice. Hold on, can I even use this commercially? Hot World. personal and commercial use. Okay. Yes, so typically I will use whatever is included if there is something included, but otherwise I'll just make up a slick through profile, a Prusa slicer profile on the fly with no guarantee that that is actually what the manufacturer intended. But since we have something that specifies what the manufacturer wants us to do, then I will try to follow this. And we're getting a bit of a... No, I don't want the free trial, except the... Okay, to use this software, please accept this. Okay, hold on, I'm going to have to read through this real quick. Profiling, so... Okay, what am I agreeing to? So I guess you're supposed to read through this and say, oh yeah, sure, I've read all this. Oh, there's an update. Yeah. A coronavirus discount. I just want to download. So we are not going to be scratching the bed, by the way. I did check the center position. It is fine. Some fan just shut off. That's interesting. So I always try to show you the setup process for the software. Again, that is recommended by the manufacturer. If it is tedious, then, I mean, you guys are going to suffer through this with me. Joel, what did you miss? We discovered that the frame is not grounded. We discovered that there is Wi-Fi that is not implemented. We leveled the bed, which was kind of tedious because it's 4 spots on a, 4 spots make more than a plane. And yeah, I'm trying to set up Repetier host as is recommended by Artillery or Envnovo. Setup was unable to close. So we did read through the GDPR agreement, and of course I signed away my kidney or whatever I did. And we are about to set up a slicer profile. I hope. Why buy COVID when you can have it for free? Ha! Ha! Okay, so I'm guessing this is a Repetier host for the host that is actually running on this laptop. But that's Repetier server, and I don't want Repetier server, I just want the Repetier host. That's actually one of the reasons why I have a separate computer for this sort of stuff. Because if the software says, "Hey, you gotta restart your thing," then did that actually crash my capture card? I'm not gonna restart the computer that I've got. There we go. That I've got OBS Studio running on. Repetier host. Adjust the clamp. I will not adjust the clamp. You can try all you want. I'm not going to adjust the clamp. Privacy policy. Oh, we got to read through this again. Nice. So if somebody wants to screen cap this and actually read through and tell me what I'm... Matamo? Who am I? Cupertino? YouTube? Who am I agreeing to? Okay. Anyways, CureWorks fan, yes. It's recommending Repetier host and Slick3R. Okay, we have Repetier host installed. Would you like to download the Repetier apps? No, I don't. I hide. Go away. No, go away. I don't want your ads. Click on the printer settings on the top right corner. Oh no, you guys just saw what brand this laptop is. It's supposed to be a secret. Click on the printer settings button on the top right corner to set up your printer first. Printer settings. Install Repetier host. We've already installed Repetier host. Why am I supposed to install Repetier host again? Anyways. Click on the printer settings on the top right corner, then go to Printer tab, configure the printer as shown below. So, printer. Travel feed rate. 3600. That's 600 millimeters a second. I think that seems rather fast. But I'm guessing firmware limits are going to take care of that. 340. 40 to 10. This is literally just typing off values off of the included card. Let me guess, he mentions it's not as good as a Prusa. What do you expect? This thing is a third of the price. And yes, typing values off of an A4 sheet of paper into a software is not as good as installing a software and selecting which printer you have. So, come on. Check extruder and bed temperature. Remove 000. Send ETA, no. Disable motor, no. Printer has SD card, 8%. That's good, okay. Then go to printer shape tab. Configure with the following parameters. So you are 300. Nope, by 300. Whoops, where did you go? 300 by 300 by height 400. Then go back to the home screen. Go to the slicer tab. Choose Slick3R. Oh, you can even do Slick3. That's not how, well, I guess it used to be spelled that way. And click configuration. So this, I guess, is just launching Slick3R, is it? Yes. So we're going to cancel this. We're going to do file, load config bundle. And what do we need SolidWorks Composer for? Where did my USB drive go? Oh. And the drive's fried. No, it's just, why is it just not showing up? You guys seeing this? Why, what is hiding the USB drive in Slick3R? Like, it's showing up and then it's gone. What is going on with this software that I just put on my computer? If you go to the D, can you manually go to the D? We can. It's just 4 presets imported. Okay. When load finished, you will see the screen below, and you can close the window afterwards. All right. So in theory, we now have print settings. We have PLA fine, we have PLA normal, and we have the Sidewinder. We have PLA, but we do not have TPU. We don't have TPU. Do we have a vase mode? I wanted to print a vase, but it looks like we're not going to be able to. Unless we go into Slick3R menu manager. No, that's not the one we want. unless we go in here manually and create a vase mode. Because really, honestly, printing something small on this printer, kind of pointless. It's a 300 by 300 by 400 printer. At least I want to print, you know, something like this. I don't know what I printed this on, but this is something that's a bit more substantial than just a small bench or something. So I'm guessing I'm going to work off of these, oh God, old Slick 3R. Wow, tabs. Right, tabs that weren't always open. God. So fine is a 0.1 millimeter layer height and normal is a 0.2. Okay. So let's just overwrite the normal with a spiral vase. And that should be all right. 3 perimeters, that's good. That's good. So save these as normal. I guess I could have created a new one. And that should give me a nice vase. How long did that setup take? Can someone look at the time? Oh yeah, I guess I could change the first layer height. How long did that take to set up? First layer height 0.3. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. In fact, I'm gonna check first layer is default. Infill is 0.8. That's an interesting choice. So this is still the default setting. So the default infill extrusion width is 0.8 on the Sidewinder. If you're using their profile, if you use the profile that they intend you to use. Speeds, pretty fast. But then of course you're stepping down for small details, so that's all right. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. Now, suggestions for what we should print. 14 minutes, well, 111 minutes for everything, but we did mess around with a few things. We did open up the base. Oh, I need a sip to drink. So again, green tea, gunpowder, finest. I've mentioned the full name of this stuff at the beginning. Oh, still hot. Mega Benchy. I'm not going to print a Benchy. I'm going to print something that looks more like a vase. We just created a vase mode profile. Just to get a bit more volume out of this printer. Print some Legos. I can do all the checking and evaluation prints a bit later. For now, I just want a first print that's not going to be too tough on the printer. Yeah, no, that's not what I wanted. Vase. So we're going to be printing in pink. That does look kind of cool. That does look kind of cool. Non-commercial. I hope Zaki20 doesn't mind that I'm using this on a video. Load. Let's do the abstract vase. So, do we get a print time estimate in Prusa Slicer? Let's see. Oh yeah, I forgot. This is old Slick 3R. This isn't Prusa Slicer. This isn't the hyper optimized version that we have now. Old Slick 3R used to be slow. Yeah, and it is using a bit of CPU while doing so. Frenzy Pod 6. Frenzy Pod 6. Frenzy Pod 6, whatever. Yeah, not sure what you guys mean with the Frenzy Pod 6. Shouldn't I decrease the speed down to 30 for TPU? So we will be printing a pink PLA, Pushment PLA. It's the Miss Pink one. Just for contrast, just for you guys to be able to see what we're doing. Once this thing finishes slicing, this is like exporting G-code to composition to .G-code. Okay. So I wonder what the ports on this printer are used for, because that's like where the manual ends. Do you actually plug in a USB drive to the USB host? Because since this apparently is an 8-bit board, USB host functionality would need to be built into the screen, if anything. In that case, I guess you could do USB. But micro SD, of course, that's going to work. And of course, you can also plug in with, there's a bit of a light show going on in here. You can also plug in through the regular USB. But I guess USB, and then the way this would work is that the screen is actually acting as a controller and is streaming G-code to the control board. So this is like a mini printer host, more or less. Interesting. Okay, so we do get a preview in Repetier host. Lacking a bit of anti-aliasing, but that's all right. Print time 1 hour and 30 minutes. That is too long. That's too long. It is almost 10. You can see, well, you cannot see the time, but if I remove myself real quick, you can see it's almost 10 p.m. here. So let me scale this down just a bit. Zoom, scale, can I? Object placement, okay, I gotta go back to this. That looks like scale, so let's scale this to, let's do 0.6. It's gonna be somewhat small, but yeah, it's gonna be a bit faster to do. Can go up to 120 millimeters a second in vase mode. We can change to 0.3 width. Well, that's not gonna change anything for a vase. 0.3 width. Yeah, we can probably see if we can crank the speed through the screen while it is printing, and we can see where it's going to start skipping a beat. 50 minutes. Ah, that's better. That's better. And look at that. You can just, it works with touch. I like that. Okay, so save to, let's just do save to file and save to the USB drive that is for some reason hidden again? What is up with this drive? Are you saved? Do I get like a save confirmation thing? I guess I don't. Okay. Eject. I still wish that eject button would actually like physically shoot out your drive, or with SD cards. I think that would be really funny. Somebody should build that. Like an actual SD card ejector. So we are done with you. How will I be able to get a good view at this printer? I guess like this. More or less. Did you reslice after changing the scale? Yes, I did. That's why we got the updated time estimate. So I'm guessing if I could turn back time, if I could get this camera to focus, maybe. And if it's not focusing on the reflection. Yeah, this screen is at a really awkward angle, but I guess you guys can see what's going on. We say print system volume information abstract vase. Okay, there it is. Print this model, confirm. So it's preheating the bed first to 80 degrees for PLA. 80 degrees for PLA. That sounds... And that is heating up very fast, very quickly. I thought I had turned it off, so I'm guessing that sensor is not very good at actually catching the temperature of the top of the bed. Do I have... I guess I could grab the Unity and tape a... Hot and is still cold. What are you doing? Okay, I guess I could tape the Unity temperature sensor to the top of the bed and just give you guys a quick reading of how warm that actually is when it is reading 80 degrees. I started at 60, so I'm guessing that's not 60. Let's just see. I mean, we can experiment. We're gonna have 50 minutes to mess around with the printer to hopefully not disturb the print too much. To just experiment. So how do I hook this up? I guess like that. Polarity shouldn't matter. 23 degrees. Yeah, it is warm in here, so 17. Does this matter? Oh yeah, I guess if you actually plug it in the right way around, you actually get proper temperatures. They do a trick. It's 80 degrees at the measurement point, but only 60 at the bed then. After 2 layers, they drop the temperature to 60 in the profile. This is the glass temperature. So it is actually trying to overheat. That is quite a pace. That is quite the pace. They're actually trying to overshoot on purpose. I hear some clicking, which I don't really like. You guys hear that? If I bring my microphone in. What is that? I mean, it's not the filament, I think. I wish it was on one specific move. All right, so the bed is a bit low. So it might just be the extruder skipping a bit. But honestly, I would rather have the extruder be a bit low today, simply because we're gonna know it's gonna stick. Accelerations are set way too high by default. Doesn't look too bad. Yeah, the first layer is just a bit too low. No fan. No, typically for the first layer, the fan does not turn on. All right, let's tape the temperature probe down with some proper, I don't know guys, so Roscoe gaff tape. I bought this is like this spool of tape used to be that big. And I've used it for like 2 or 3 years now, and gaff tape is like the best thing ever. If you guys aren't using gaff tape, you are missing out. Trust me, it's like, this stuff is so great. It is easy to use. It is easy to remove. It sticks where you want it to stick. It doesn't leave a mark or anything. It's just the best. It's also showing us that the bed surface temperature really isn't all that hot. I'm guessing if you press down a bit, maybe, but then we're going to be sucking heat out with my fingers. So let's use a non-thermally conductive piece of plastic. So yeah, the real bed temperature really isn't all that high up. Like I said, it's the sensor in the silicone mat, especially since you have insulation on the bottom here. That sensor does get tricked fairly easily. 45 on the surface. That's not too hot. I should grab the thermal camera at some point.
Here is $5. I hope you use this to go buy ice cream.
Thanks for that, Joel. I should really use that to go buy some ice cream. You're right. You are right. Appreciate it. Yeah. So temperature on the bed, so it's pretty far off. Like this is set to 55 right now, and it's reading 78. So bed temperature sensor, I would say, is kind of useless, more or less. Am I signed into? I'm not signed into Twitter on this one, but I might be signed into Twitter. Oh, I'm signed into Twitter on my phone. We have that too. Can we turn off the LED? Because the LED really isn't helping the camera. Put the sensor more in the middle. Are you telling me you're not going to be using the edges of the bed? Are you going to be using a 300 by 300 millimeter printer to print in a 10 by 10 centimeter square in the center? No, I'm going to be measuring the edge because that's where it matters. That's where temperature matters. In the middle, you're always going to have stuff sticking down. It's the edges that you need. Who tweeted at me? A lot of people tweeted at me. Yes, okay, I'm gonna let this load real quick. There's a thermal image. However, it's using Barbarian units, so that says 161 Fahrenheit. And apparently I'm measuring exactly in the cold spots, so let me actually try and move this in. So we're still at 44 degrees Celsius. Oh, this is noticeably, oh wow, yeah, you can even feel the temperature difference. That is crazy useless then. Look at that shooting up. Flow camera unfortunately is not in the studio. I've got that at home right now. So if you press down on this, but you can really feel the difference. Like here it's like comfortably warm. In here it is literally burning my fingertips. So, yeah. The question is, why do you get a large heated bed when you cannot use the large heated bed? It's basically, like, I don't remember who was saying, oh yeah, this is worse than the Pusher, but if you consider that you can't actually use the big print volume, at least on the bed, then it's not even bigger than the Prusa. Why would you buy this? Somebody else asked on the other side, why would you buy this over a Prusa? Well, it's big, right? It is a big printer. It's got 300 by 300 by 400 millimeter build volume. That is the appeal of this machine, and it is cheap. It is $369 right now. If you check the GearBest link in the description, you can see that it is on sale as it usually is, but right now it's $369, and apparently, print quality, it's actually pretty darn good. Amazon link below the stream is why? What's up with that? What's up with the Amazon link? Oh, the Amazon link is broken. Thanks for the hint. Maybe I can fix that. So yeah, print so far looking pretty good. Oh, that link didn't. That link didn't save. Okay. So far, so good. Like layers are being laid down pretty nicely. You can see a bit of a deviation down there and a bit of like a 2 mm pattern maybe. One thing I'm noticing that's making a bit of noise is this motor cable here. Oh, you can just tuck it out. You can just tuck it out of the way. The right-hand side Z-axis motor cable was bumping into the adjustment wheel on the rear right. Now, so far the ribbon cables are working. The fan is working. I think that's the issue that Stefan was having. Fan is working, extruder seems to be working. This fan is also working. Hot end, temperature sensor, all that stuff. Look at how cleanly that gaff tape is coming off. Except for on the probe. So toolhead seems to all be working, and the X-axis end stop motor, all that stuff on there, it's also working. So both ribbon cables are fully operational. Missed it. How long are they going to be operational? I don't know whether this ribbon cable is going to fail or not, but since there is no kink in these, no way that they could fail in a single spot other than, you know, right at the connector, right here where they, you know, are bent, or right at that connector. Maybe that's where you see the most stress. This actually looks like a pretty solid solution for cabling. Does the CR-10 V2 have an AC bed? Not sure. I don't think so. Front left corner on the insulation of the bed is not, looks like it's not fully attached. Yeah, so we did have a bit of an issue earlier on in the build where, you know, the rear right, yeah, this is coming off as well. Where the rear right corner, by the way, this is an AC bed, so I mean, that's interesting. Is this even a silicone heater mat, or is it, what are you? Yeah, you feel like a weird type of silicone. Oh yeah, this is totally cold. We had a bit of an issue where back here, that's why we have the two clamps on here, the actual AC wire where it goes in was detaching from the glass plate, and it was just falling off. That's something that I caught. I'm not sure if a regular buyer or regular customer would be catching this as well and fixing it, because if you don't, you're gonna have an issue with maybe a little bit of a fire. Worst case.
May your heater cartridge run strong.
Thanks for the 10, Chris. And thanks for the laugh. Yeah, I don't want to move this print around too much right now, but the other thing that we were noticing is you can see it back here. The wire for the bed is it's just a kinked mess. So there's literally a sharp bend in here and another one up here, and that's all that is bending as this bed moves. So this is a guaranteed failure. This, I'm guessing 5 spools and the cables in here are going to be frayed and half broken and just done for. Fire risk, shorts. I mean, best case you blow a fuse, worst case you burn the thing down. Not good, not good. Logan, put your finger on the flat cable connectors and feel the heat. These are on the connectors. Hold on the connectors themselves. These feel perfectly, well, this one may be slightly warm, but that might just be the motor heat, but these feel perfectly cold. So far so good. It's cheaper? Yeah. Shiny saying Creality has very bad quality control. From what I've seen, I mean, I wouldn't I probably wouldn't praise Artillery for their quality control either. You know? Mars Gizmo is asking, can you measure the Z-axis aluminum extrusion width, bottom versus top, for the same pillar? Mine has 0.7 of a millimeter of a difference. Very well, I can. Bring out the Me Tutorial. I mean, I know it didn't really cost Me Tutorial much to ship calipers and a straight edge and stuff, but I still appreciate the gesture. Of course, influencer, blah, 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 but having nice calipers is really nice. Not that you need them, but just nice. So actually, let me measure from the front. So the width here is 39.78 up top. And then let me see if I can get in down here. 39.86. Yeah, so there is 39.8. Am I holding this thing wrong? $39.85, yeah, so there is a bit of a variance, but not 0.7. I guess just depending on which type of aluminum extrusion you get, what grade, what manufacturer, etc. And also the anodization is not something that has no influence on thickness. It shouldn't have much influence on thickness, but yeah, these are not perfect, as no extruded part really is. Mars Gizmo, can't use the print to the top. So it becomes very wobbly. If you remind me, and if I remember after this print is done, I can run it up to the top and just check how much play we have. Because down here we have none at all right now. This is good enough. The thing also is, well, if you have if this extrusion piece up here, I have no better angle for this, I'm sorry. If this extrusion up here is not at the perfect length and not the perfect same length, exact same length as at the bottom here, then you're gonna have these Z-axis pillars kind of tip in. And like I said, this is already over constrained with two fully constrained wheel packs at each end. So you're either going to be very tight up top, or if you adjust your wheels differently, you're going to be very loose up top or loose at the bottom. So yeah, these very much depend on them being perfectly parallel, not just being perfectly the same width, but also perfectly aligned. Am I ever going to review the FLSun QQS? I'm not sure. Haven't really heard of that name that much. The thing is that there's so many like low-end cheap printers that you could be reviewing. Between, you know, ANET has reached out to me and we're like, hey, we've got our crap under control. We are all new. Forget about what we did with the A8. Our printers are better now. Do you want to review it? Creality is going to send out their CR-6E, SE, sorry. Artillery have sent out this one. Banggood are asking, hey, which machines, which products can we send you? Gearbest are asking, hey, which printers can we send you? And there's probably 3 or 4 dozen printers that are waiting to be shipped to me to be reviewed. And I cannot review all of them. I have not seen a modern ANET printer. The most modern ANET machine I've seen is a 2 or 3 year old model. So I'm not sure what has changed. Guys, what would you like to see reviewed? So here's a sneak preview of what my plans for like October, November are. And like I said earlier, is I kind of want to do like short reviews for printers that are not that unique, that are just, you know, a frame, a hot end, maybe a screen that's intelligent. Maybe that's the biggest feature on something like an artillery. Yeah, it's decently nicely built. It's using ribbon cables. That's okay, but it's not doing anything that nobody else has done before. Like it's not bringing any innovation to the table. It's just an iteration of what we already have. So those printers I don't think need a 15-minute review. So I want to do a bunch of those before Christmas, because everyone's going to be asking, hey, which printer should I get for Christmas, so that it's going to get here in time, you know, for Christmas morning, Christmas Day, Christmas Eve is where you get when you get gifts in Germany or presents in Germany. Anyways, that's the plan. So I've got a few printers lined up for that already, but I've still got a few spots. So ANET ET4, A-Core XY, the BQ-B1, Railcore. Hold on. 2 trees, Retronxy. I don't know how I can take a screenshot of this, but thank you for the suggestions. A Railcore.
Minimal layer time restriction bars.
Yeah, Railcore, CR-30, Raise 3D. Railcore will be a long one, yeah. I'm gonna keep keeping notes. A LoadSpot. So I have reviews of, I think, the LoadSpot Mini and the LoadSpot TAS something, TAS 3, TAS 4. Those are on the channel. You can watch those, but I don't have a review of the current Mini 2 or I think the very newest TAS with all the different toolheads you can put on. And LoadSpot have moved on. They have reset themselves slightly. See, I'm sure their printers are going to be different to what I've seen a few years ago. If I can change the exposure correction on this, maybe we can get a bit of a less. Is that better? Maybe. A less blown out image there. Anycubic, yeah, Anycubic still exists. They're still around doing stuff. Stream is not loading. Seems to be working fine for all the other people watching, for all the other 1,100 people watching. Maybe try it at 5. I mean, if I say it, it doesn't really matter. Where are you going to try to increase the speed? Code Run 3D Printer Creator, we will be doing that right about now. Right after I take a photo of chat again, because it's moving so fast. So we can see so roughly this is like, I'm going to say an inch because that is the closest full unit of measurements that I can come up with. So like 2, 3, let's say 3 centimeters. So anything below that is stock settings. And stock settings, what I can see from this angle, looking pretty good, at least on this vase. So if you go into speed, and that's not making it better, is it? Move speed, add 101. Again, I would like just a little wheel that I can scroll through, because if you're going to go to like 200%, we're going to end up digging all the way to Australia with this. $200. Okay, I think I missed two super chats, so I missed the one from G. Vost, the 5. Please remove minimal layer time restriction in vase. So, the way the minimum layer time works in a slicer is, hoping this isn't going to get read out. The way that minimum layer time works is that the slicer will reduce the linear speed that it's actually sending to the printer, that it's telling the printer to do in G-code. And that's just the base speed that it's reducing. So the printer doesn't know anything about minimum layer speed. The printer doesn't know anything about layers even. It is just following moves. So if you increase the speed on the screen or on the printer itself, it is also overriding minimum layer time. So if you set it to 200%, we are also cutting in half the layer time that the slicer set. So if you get curling here, then we know that is an issue that we caused by bumping up speed. Kevin, tip 19 some dollars. Thanks for that. These cables aren't that good. Have mine for about a year. The connectors keep burning, need to change every 4 months. Extruders cables are the worst. Okay, I will keep an eye on that. I don't think I'm going to be putting 4 months worth of printing on this thing. Connectors keep burning. That's kind of bad because the you can spec these. Oh yeah, these are locking. Look at that. So one thing I'm just seeing is this one for the extruder going to the right. This is a locking connector. So this little darker piece right there, that's the lock. You pull that out or you flip it up depending on which type of connector it is. And it releases the cable. This one up here is a non-locking type, so you just push it in and pull it out. So this is the one that was pre-assembled, and this is the one that you assemble yourself. That's the type that I trust more. That's the type that is like, yeah, not sure about it. Did it just push down the Z-axis? I hope it didn't. So yeah, apparently these do burn up. Now, the way you handle that is you space your power pins further apart. So you don't just concentrate all your high power pins for the extruder heater on like 2 pins. I don't know what these pins are rated for, but they're usually surprisingly good with their rating. You don't just concentrate it in one edge, but you put like a few there, you put a few there, and you just use more pins for the current you're trying to drive. So, yeah, apparently these are still something that's an issue, but since this is like the revision 4, apparently, I'm hoping they changed a few things around and improved them. There is a... Yeah, so for whoever just commented, oh, you can change the amount you change it so that it's 1 millimeter. 5? Can I... Oh, God! Oh, God! So you're changing the speed in percent by 5 millimeters. Oh, God, that's bad. Wow! Who made that interface? Ah. God. Okay. Before we lose Joel here, yeah, have a great anniversary. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the Sunday. Cheers, mate. Okay. That kind of threw me off. I was reading through super chats. Pingbite, thanks for the 2. USB is waiting to break off. Yeah, I was noticing that. That's like, at least the bed is sliding past it, but this is like so easy to snap off. I guess on the side, but still didn't need. But yeah. Anything that's sticking out like that. And thanks for the 5, Mudmad. If you want to have a good laugh, you should review the Wanhao D9. It's one of the worst printers I've ever bought. I mean, I've had so many bad printers on the channel. You know, it's funny when they're really bad, when they're like as bad as the, what was it, the Neptune? I think that was from Poland or something, or the where it had literally open 230 volts. Just you reach into the case and you reach past that much on the printer. You reach into the case and there's the IAC connector just uninsulated. It was wood screws tapped into printed parts. Like that thing was a. I don't want to get this video demonetized, but you can pick your own choice of words for that. That thing was horrible. The other one, the most recent one, was the the Raptor 2.0. Looked good. Kind of wasn't a good printer. It had, I mean, it looked as nice as the Artillery X1 almost, but it was like it was a pretty big mess under the hood. And those are funny. Those are things that people are interested in. But if it's just a genuinely crap printer that's just badly built and there's nothing exciting going wrong with it, like, is it worth my time reviewing it? Is it worth me stressing out about the printer just being bad and then having to review it? I don't know. I would rather review good printers, you know? I would rather say nice things about machines. So supposedly this is 200%, but you gotta keep in mind, this is being slowed down by the minimum layer time. Like somebody mentioned earlier, this is not limited by the linear speed that the extruder can go at. This is limited by the slicer slowing things down. Did I? Wait. Phone, why are you buzzing? Oh. Hold on, I may have, I just introduced a bit of an artifact there. So, this screen, gotta find out who's making this screen because this is bad. This is not a product that I would recommend. So apparently I managed to move over to extrude speed. Now, extrude speed is not the same as move speed. The thing is, move speed is just a linear multiplier of how fast the print is going. And you know, you print faster, you increase the amount of flow that's happening through the extruder. So you still get the same amount of filament in the end. But if you go over to extrude speed, like this is the extrusion multiplier. So it's not just extruding faster, it is extruding more. So we've got a bit of a ring on the print now because I was like, why did this jump back to 100%? Because extrude speed should be proportional to print speed, really. But no, you gotta go to move speed, and then move speed is the move speed you can do. So let's try 400 real quick. 300 millimeters a second is easily possible with this print. The word of warning, so 300 millimeters a second, that's before accelerations. Once you factor in accelerations, there's no way this print is going at 300 millimeters a second. Like, you gotta think about this. This is 300 millimeters. So 1 second, like, think. That's the linear print speed you would be doing at 300 millimeters a second. Prints like these, small prints like these, will, at least they should always be limited by the amount or the speed that a printer can accelerate at. Especially with a large heated bed like this, where it's a large glass plate, there's a lot of weight on here. And it is using the standard 6mm belt. This setup doesn't have a lot of rigidity along its movement axis. So if this has to accelerate and brake and decelerate again, this belt is going to stretch ever so slightly, and it's going to ring, it's going to flex, and it's going to introduce inaccuracies that you will see as ringing on your prints. So on a small print, even when you set it to a high speed, like 300 millimeters a second, like you can set it as high as you want, but your print's not going to finish faster if your printer is set up correctly for print quality. So yeah, we're not doing 300 millimeters a second, even if we're doing 80 base times 4. That should be 320 already, but it's not, because you are limited by how fast the printer will accelerate. But we're done. It did print faster. So 300%, yes, cool. But for everyone who did not follow or wasn't aware of those limitations, I'm hoping that at least clear things up a bit. So the filament, for Winston asking, this is there's the safe in the background. The filament is Prusa Mint Miss Pink PLA, and I don't think it is that shiny. It's got a bit of that silk effect to it, but it's not a very shiny filament. I guess it's the lighting and the camera is making it look a bit more shiny than it is. But yeah, it's not a totally dull surface. So this has stuck down pretty well. You can see that ridge where I accidentally bumped up the extrusion multiplier. I'm not sure if I can actually get this off. Yeah, no, I can't get this off because this is stuck down pretty well. You guys didn't see that, right? Oh yeah, but I can show you the print right there. So this is on full blast, full speed, 400%. Look at my arm here. Isn't it beautiful? 400%. Looking good, looking smooth. And if you do a bit of a different angle, that is coming up pretty nicely, I gotta say. So there are a few hints of ringing right at that edge, but I'm not sure if that is the... Actually, let me split it into a few more parts so I can give you a closer look. There is a bit of a hint of ringing right there at that edge. Not sure if that's the model or not, but overall it is looking very smooth. And what I do like too is usually on printers you will see a bit of deviation on the z-axis height, on the layer height. So it will look like the layers aren't all perfectly the same height. Here it is looking like they are all perfectly the same height. And I've not seen that on a printer right out of the box for a while. And that is actually something that I do like. Just that it's something that you were seeing in the early days a lot more, where you were printing with a 0.5 millimeter nozzle, so layers were just a bit thicker. But yeah, I'm liking the print quality. Yeah, but as Peter is saying, this model does not tell you much about print quality. It is a nice experiment. It is a nice test. Something like 3D Benchy would probably tell you a bit more, but that is something that I will be doing in the full review. Just a bit more challenging prints for these machines. Yeah, and a bit deeper look into, you know, how much of an issue stuff like this, where the there we go, where the 230 volt cable is just kinking, or the fact that the heater is lifting off, or I don't know how much I can test it, but the ribbon cables maybe not being the best solution in the long term. Yeah, but that is my first impressions and unboxing first print of the Artillery X1, the Artillery Sidewinder-X1, the Artillery Envnovo Sidewinder-X1, long name. Yeah, like I said, review is going to be a bit out, a bit further out, so that's going to be October, November or something for this set of printers that I'm planning on doing a review on. Yeah, if you're watching the recording, you can leave a comment below what you think about this printer. I guess, thank you all for being here. Thanks for keeping me company. And on this Sunday evening, it is 10:30 p.m. It is time for me to head home today. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned a few things. Hope you got a bit of an impression of the Artillery Sidewinder-X1. And if you liked the video, do the subscribe, do the super chat. Oh yeah, by the way, thanks for the buck, Mars Gizmo. OEM heater is 60 watts, 24 volts, replaced with a 30 watt one. Ooh, that's a good tip. And the connectors won't burn anymore. That is something that we might need to look into. I can do some measurements on this thing. But anyways, thank you for watching, thank you for being here, and I will see you in a regular video this coming Friday, which involves sriracha sauce on a build plate. Thank you for watching. See you then. Goodbye. No. There. Bye.